Day 28. Rubbish. It's day 28 of our Spanish lockdown, Easter Sunday, and I start the day with Three Good Legs' cat who escaped through the fence and tried to climb down the mountain. It meant that I had to hang on to the metal fence and click his lead on and drag him back. For a cat, he is pretty good on a lead. I think he has realised it is the only way he is allowed out. Our friends Erica and Mark bought not one but 2 houses in the year 2000 in the village of Figliana. We had shared a holiday with them the year before, and within a few weeks of returning, they went back and bought the houses. We thought they were crazy. In the early summer of 2000, we rented a villa nearby to come and see just what they had purchased. Villa Paula sat between the town of Nerja and the village of Figliana. We collected the keys from the villa company, along with instructions to turn hard left at the bins down a track to the house. You get used to sharing the bins in Spain. Individual bins and weekly collection doesn't happen here. You share a set of bins with a block of houses, or in our case, about 150 houses on our estate and above it in the countryside. They are emptied, though, every day. You can be fined for not taking your rubbish out at the correct time, which in our case has to be between 8 p.m. and 11 p.m. And on Thursdays, you may leave larger items by the bins to be collected. In practice, nobody takes any notice of these rules. Rubbish is dumped around the bins, even if they are empty, and all manner of broken TVs, bits of furniture, rotting mattresses are discarded. The smell is undescribable. Our estate employs our gardener to every day clear the mess up as best he can and put any food rubbish in the bins. We have a problem with rats, but the feral cats take care of most of them. We have someone that feeds the cats enough to survive, but hungry enough to want to catch a rat as a treat. That can have its own danger if the rat has been poisoned. Having feral cats around is another reason we keep Three Good Legs' cat within the confines of the terraces of this house. When we were in the village, British locals would feed the cats, and the rat population was under control. But somebody complained to the town hall, and the Brits were banned from feeding, and the cats all mysteriously disappeared in the space of a few days. It is not uncommon for the municipal authorities to poison the cats. The rat population returned, and it wasn't unusual to see 1 or 2 taking an early morning constitutional past our flat. Back in the year 2000, and we reached the bins, and Chris swung the hired car hard left, and we bumped and shook our way down the track. Villa Paula was a small, just about 2-bedroom villa with its own pool. Not a particularly attractive building, but the pool on that hot day looked very inviting. I put the key in the lock. It would not unlock. I tried again, and again, and again. Although we had a mobile phone, we did not have the number of the office, so we went back down the mountain to the agent. The agent followed us back up with another set of keys. When we arrived, he asked for our keys to the villa, put the key in horizontally, and opened the door. How embarrassing. We learnt another thing about Spain. You don't put the key in vertically, but horizontally. I have no idea why, but you just do. Villa Paula was a really odd place. Large oil canvases covered every wall. There was a quite disturbing but interesting street scene of New York behind the worn-out sofa that had been covered with a sheet to hide its antiquity. The bedroom consisted of a deeply uncomfortable bed. The open-plan kitchen was rudimentary, but okay. We didn't care. This was an adventure, and we had a pool, and the weather had already tipped over 30 degrees Celsius. After unpacking our provisions from the Supersol supermarket, we spent the afternoon in the pool. It was wonderful and refreshing, and al fresco drinks in the evening, followed by a supper of salad and fresh fish, was just a great end to the day. The bed was, however, like sleeping on the floor. It was so uncomfortable. But we both drifted into fitful sleep. About 2 a.m, there was an almighty explosion. We jumped out of bed, and it took us a few moments to realise that some idiot was setting off enormous and very loud fireworks. This was our first encounter with a fiesta. It was in the neighbouring hamlet and lasted a good 20 minutes or so before things quietened down. The next morning, though, we discovered that the Supersol was closed. Everything was closed, even though it was a Friday. We called Erica. She did not answer. In fact, she did not answer for 2 days. On the third day, we got through. "Oh, boys, I can't cope. It's just too much." It turns out that moving from one country to another had proved to be anything but joyous, and her new house didn't have a pool to sip cocktails by, so she was very stressed. We arrived at the village and parked the hire car in an open car park. There were plenty of spaces. We remembered how quiet and charming the village was the year before, and it was still just as beautiful, but we did notice more people around than before. We found the new house in a narrow road, an upper set of stairs. It was small and squeezed into the corner of a narrow street. "It'll do until I have my own wee house finished," Erica said. "Do you want to come and look at what we've bought?" asked Mark. "And you can meet Alberto, who has been so helpful." They took us further down the main narrow cobbled street. We noticed the gangs of workers were now also cobbling the side streets, and a number of houses had been freshly painted. The stepped narrow road that their second house was situated in was a stunningly beautiful street with hanging baskets, and on the right an artist's studio with beautiful paintings. Up a few more steps and there was an inviting bar. Then, next to that, a decrepit-looking dump with its door half hanging off. "Here we are," said Mark. "It's not locked." We went in. The house was about, at most, 3 metres wide. We found ourselves in, some kind of small stable with a wooden latticed feeder for straw on the wall. There was a distinct smell of stale donkey shit. The rooms were small. The back room was set out as a rudimentary kitchen. There was a garden, overgrown. "We're going to put a pool out there," said Mark. "Will it fit?" asked Chris. "Yes, Alberto is planning it all for us." Once the reform work was finally finished, the house was one of the most beautiful in the street. They did build a pool. They were denounced by a neighbour. The town hall made them move the pool by 1 metre away from the neighbouring property. One weekend, they built an illegal exit onto the roof, fitted a door, and late Sunday night painted the whole thing, so that by Monday morning, when the town hall had gone back to work, it looked as if it had been there forever. The first new house was difficult to sell, but eventually a buyer was found, and they got pretty much all their money back. But the old house in the beautiful street had cost a lot more to reform. So by 2004, Mark was having to do labouring work, building houses within an old cinema. When we met them again in that year, Mark had lost a lot of weight. He looked gaunt and stressed. Erica told us he spent most of the day in the local bar getting drunk. Many Brits, planning their move to Spain, dream of the sun, the swimming pool with those infamous cocktails being sipped by it. For some so-called expats, they eventually wind up spending most days in the local bars, disillusioned and bored. My second most hated phrase after the words expat has to be living the dream. Because the dream becomes reality, and the reality is never what you expect. Sometimes it is better, and sometimes it is worse. At the moment, it is worse. Lockdown is certainly not a dream, but a harsh wake-up reality call. But it's also a time to take stock and think about the really important things in life, like family, and what makes you really happy. If you have enjoyed listening to Spanish Practices, it really helps us if you leave a review on iTunes, or why not hit the subscribe button if you're listening on YouTube. Find out more at thesecretspain.com.